Everybody thinks Eastman, they're in Beijing, right? Chinese company. Well, guess what? They're not. They're also based in the United States, right here in California. We're here at Eastman in Pomona, and we're here to get some information and some general content on some special guitars that are being produced and being designed here. This is Pepijn.
Hello everybody, finally someone who can pronounce my name correctly, being a fellow Dutchman.
Eastman, your guitars are being produced in Beijing. What are we doing here?
Yeah, well, the almost every instrument that we do starts here in Pomona with my good friend Otto, our chief designer. I come up with the ideas and I ask Otto, I want something like this, and then he goes to the drawing table. One of the most important things for us, and something that we really wanted to accomplish, was a bolt-on neck system. Yeah, so we really wanted to design something that is different and adds something new. And that took us, well, quite a few years, but we think we succeeded with the Fullertone neck. So the Fullertone neck is actually a 2-bolt neck-to-body construction, where, as you can see, this fully becomes one. So it's actually more like a set neck than it's like a bolt-on, where normally you have the bolts here and that's it. All the connection you have is on the top.
Yeah.
But here it fully becomes one. Because of that, you get more tone, more sustain, and more stability. So when Otto came up with this, we thought, now we have something to start this. But in order to create a guitar line based on that and have our team in Beijing, who is very good at dovetail necks, and they do that all day long, to do this, they had to learn, but because this is really a different ballgame. So we came up with the weird idea to start a custom shop here, because it was already our prototyping design room. And now this is a fully functioning custom shop where Otto and Adam in the back are building the D'Ambrosio guitars.
Okay.
So doing the D'Ambrosio guitars over here, that gave us the opportunity to really dive into the project and create a line of guitars that now we are able to release a series, the Fullertone series, built in Beijing.
How did you become a guitar builder?
Yeah, it happened so long ago, I almost forgot. But yeah, I had started just by walking into my local guitar store. I was 13 years old and I had walked into Mandolin Brothers on the recommendation of my father, who said there was a really cool guitar store. I had played guitar in a punk rock band at the time, and I figured, why not just go look at some guitars, and I just couldn't believe what was behind the door of that business. And I essentially asked for a job in there, and I stayed there for several years. Really just kind of changed my life just by going into a local guitar store.
Yeah. From that job to building your own guitars. What's that like?
Through working at Mandolin Brothers, it was one of these establishments in New York City guitar. Every New York City musician at the time would go there, and it was almost like a pilgrimage, where they would go there to see some unbelievably unique, rare instruments that, you know, either influenced rock and roll or would go on to influence. And being there, I was able to meet some extremely talented repairmen and builders. I got some internships with Flip Scipio, and worked with him for several years in his shops, and worked with John Monteleone out in Long Island as his apprentice at first, and then went on to do some repair work for him. It was also the time in the late 90s and early 2000s where archtop guitars were the pinnacle of design work in these New York City shops, and it was the birthplace of Jimmy D'Acquisto and John Monteleone and John D'Angelico and numerous other archtop builders. But because of them and because of their work building these new instruments, really just captivated my craft for wood, and just went on to become my sole purpose for decades to figure out how to do that, by myself. And after that point, I realized I needed to know a little bit more about woodworking. So I applied at Guild Guitars and worked for a few years at the Guild Guitar Factory. At that point, I knew a lot about individual makers and how they were able to craft something from nothing. But as far as production schedules and producing, hundreds of guitars a day, that's where it just rewrote the script. But it was just so beneficial to see that at that point, because it really kind of freed the building up, especially like the more manufacturing side of building, which there's positives to. I try to make sense of all of the work, and there's definitely points where machines are not involved. It's just a blade in your hand. And some points where machines are extremely beneficial to have because they speed up the process a lot, where you can focus on these certain things that are just so important.
Yeah. Chen, our boss, met Otto and I said, you have to come work for us. And we are very happy ever since, because Otto does still build his own archtops. But now me and him have the opportunity to create this whole dream that we both have for Eastman.
So when did the D'Ambrosio guitar came out? When was that?
Yeah, we launched last year. But initially it was designed 2018, but through a series of designs and alternate body shapes, we launched it last year, 2024 NAMM.
If you look at the aesthetics of the guitar, to me it's a very 50s, 60s vibe, almost a sort of Jetson idea behind it. Could you tell what was the true inspiration behind this guitar?
I read a lot of sci-fi, so maybe that's part of it. We really started with the Romeo, and it was morphed and tweaked into be something that we really felt familiar with. We wanted to produce a guitar that was had the vibe of 60s and 70s nostalgia, with being familiar yet brand new at the same time.
Yeah, because that's always a tricky bit in designing something new, and
incredibly
guitars being extremely traditional.
Exactly.
You have to get out of the envelope, but not too far off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So from Romeo, we created Juliet, the solid body. That's literally a shrunken offset version of Romeo. And from that on, we used the Juliet shape. So here you got the Juliet shape, which is set neck, like all our guitars up till there. And here you have the Fullertone neck system. So again, here you have the raised center part. There's all kinds of different things, but the basic design is similar. With a pickguard, suddenly this same body shape looks completely different. And this is, by the way, the SC52. It's our single cut. So then we have the DC, which is our double cut, with a trem system, of course. But we found Tone Rider. Tone Rider, fantastic guy, Andrew Cunningham, Englishman who lives most of the time in China, and he has a pickup company. So we started working together on these custom-made pickups. So Otto designed the gold foil cover, which I think connects all the guitars, because all the guitars have that same gold foil pickup. The DC has it in the bridge, the SC has it in the neck. So we call it a soap bar humbucker with a gold foil cover. It's a mouthful, but it's the actual truth. And then the single coil pickups that are on here are stacked single coils. So they're noiseless, and there's no volume drop between the humbucker and the single coils. Eastman guitars, we never cut corners. So we want to make the best possible guitar. There's a couple of simple changes that we did from the D'Ambrosio ones. The pickguard screwed on top, it's not laid in. The tremolo system, it got a brass block. The SC has compensated brass saddles. It's a black Limba wooden body, so really good tone wood. The D'Ambrosio neck, also roasted maple, but this is like the highest grade of flamed maple that we use for the D'Ambrosios. And you can always recognize the D'Ambrosios because of the D'Ambrosio made in California sign that's on the back. But if you look from the front, an epoxy black with pearl inlay, so it's not a decal as well. So it's all these kinds of details, and that is in line with the company motto that we have. Our CEO Chen always says he wants to produce the best possible instruments for everybody. So the slogan with Fullertone is also, this one's for everyone.
That was my next question. Who are you building this guitar for? And who are you building the D'Ambrosio for? Is there a specific type of player in mind?
Certainly. I mean, we're designing guitars at Eastman for the future. We started building electric guitars, trying to modify and make the guitars of the past better. But a few years ago, we decided that we should stand on our own 2 feet and really kind of focus on making our own unique vision of what we want to do and to create the music of tomorrow or the future.
So here we got Adam Moore, our Finnish artist. So Adam has a body, a Phoenix pine body, and he fitted the neck to perfection. So if you have the neck put into the body, this neck and this body become one. And that is exactly the same whether you have a Fullertone or a D'Ambrosio guitar. So the basis of this guitar is that.
So before each body gets finished, we have to fit each individual neck to its respective body. Doing this ensures that on the back end there's no chip out or any sort of damage issues that could come from the tolerances not being right. So what I'll first do is attempt to fit it in, and it'll usually go about halfway. You start to hear that noise, which means the wood is rubbing on each other. So I'll take this part out, look at the heel, and see that there is now some shiny spots being introduced, which I will then sand out. And really you'll just do this multiple times in increment amounts, because if you do too much, you could sand the square too small for this square, which will make the neck useless. So it's a very, not tedious process, but you just got to take the time to do it right. But yeah, that's it. That's really how this goes. Just rinse and repeat until it's in there. And then there will be a point where you have a very small shiny spot and you sand that away, and the final fit, it'll just slip right in.
If you look at the colors of the Fullertone guitars, can you say a little bit about that?
We really resonated with this palette.
Yeah, and the palette is very much, I mean, the ice blue metallic. The name is ice blue metallic because people know it. But look outside.
That was my first association.
Yeah, and if it's like the desert sand, the California coast, you know, riding the waves. Well, we can go whatever way we want because we have all the opportunities to do the design, to do the R&D here, and then, yeah. If we want to do it in China, we can do it in China as well. China is our home. You know, that's where, without the craftsmen and craftswomen in our workshops there, nothing could be done.
I noticed that some of the D'Ambrosios have a really structured body. What's that?
Yeah, so it's the difference between ash and pine. So the ash bodies we will do in a high gloss, and then the pine bodies we will sandblast, and then usually do a satin finish over them.
The nice thing about this is that, you know, one of the reasons why a lot of people age guitars, because if you do it well, it will become a unique guitar. There's only one like that. But this more or less does the same, right? Because the grain is different every time. Yeah,
we just wanted to add character to the instrument, and have it be as honest as possible. I mean, sometimes I feel antiquing a brand new guitar isn't that honest.
Faking a bit.
It's kind of faking a bit, you know. Where it's really showcasing the grain quality of a beautiful piece of wood.
So what do you tell to guitarists that have two guitars in their hand? They have the D'Ambrosio and they have the Fullertone. And one is 4,000 and one is 1,000. What are arguments?
The D'Ambrosios are truly unique. every guitar is just one, almost one-off. Of course, there is perhaps you will find 2 or 3 in the same color, but they are master built. It's also the exclusivity and the fact that this is made by only 2 people, the D'Ambrosios, and the Fullertones is made by, that's our strength, a group of builders.
The whole D'Ambrosio Fullertone project is really all that, right? It starts off with custom shop-built instruments.
Exactly.
Eventually turn into something that is produced on a larger scale.
Yeah, and that's what the Fullertone exactly is.
Yeah.
It's that next step into, and it's still the beginning of that, and there will be parts of the process where we're going to have to reinvent again.
Yeah.
But that's what makes it exciting for sure.
We never get the chance to really sit down and enjoy what we've accomplished, because if we don't start in time, then next year
next
there
year
will
will
be
be
nothing.
another mess.
So it's we're going into NAMM very, very, very fatigued and very, very tired, but at the same time happy. And then the minute NAMM ends, we're back to prototyping.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Really
Thank you for
interesting.
coming.
It's been great talking to you, and thanks for having us here.